it's always nice to hear the chanting of Hare Krishna from a pure devotee. It's Prabhupada states here from the topmost yoga system, when the Hare Krishna is chanted by a pure devotee of the Lord in love, it has the greatest efficiency on the hearers. And as such, this chanting should be heard from the lips of a pure devotee of the Lord, so that immediate effects can be achieved. That's the benefit of hearing Hare Krishna from a pure devotee. You get immediate effect. And that happened with us back in 1966. We didn't have any books. All we had was Prabhupada chanting. Either he was chanting lectures or chanting Hare Krishna. And that's how we got immediate attachment to Srila Prabhupada, simply by hearing. We didn't read because there were no books. So simply by hearing, one advances very quickly if he hears from a pure devotee. Swarup Damodar Maharaj, he says, where a pure devotee goes, that place is immediately purified as soon as he is there. And Prabhupada said, yes, because Krishna helps. As soon as the pure devotee sings, Krishna immediately comes there. So Krishna's here with us right now. Even if we can't see him, we can see him by the ears, not by the eyes. Later on, we can see by the eyes when we become pure devotees. So it becomes Vaikuntha. So now, of course, we're in Prabhupada's house. We've stepped into Vaikuntha because this is the house of a pure devotee. Prabhupada said this on a morning walk in Los Angeles in '73. Although the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is powerful in itself, a disciple upon initiation receives the mantra from his spiritual master. For when the mantra is chanted by the spiritual master, it becomes more powerful. So these are different quotes why it's important to hear the mantra from a pure devotee. Mahabhagavata and Uttama Adhikari, Shaktavajavatar. So that's the best way to hear the mantra, that it should be chanted by one who's totally pure in his heart. So that's from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 24th chapter, verse 31. So that's why I play Prabhupada's Kirtan before starting each class, so we get the benefits of hearing from a pure devotee, and it purifies our heart, and Krishna comes. You see? So the short video clip for today is Prabhupada explains the three kinds of devotees.
India. Mastosi pari ekagravanasa susamahitah nema bhagavadaya vacha tannasva hridayikshana. So, this is the process. This process you cannot expect immediately, but to practice general process, very easily done, as it is recommended in the Bhagavad-Gita, Manmana Bhavamad Bhakta Madhyadi Mang Namaskuru. You cannot get the position of Prahlad Maharaj immediately. That is not possible. The process is, first of all, sadhana bhakti. This Prahlad Maharaj's position is different. He is Mahabhagavad. In many places we have seen already, he is Nitya Siddha. There are two kinds of devotees, three. Nitya Siddha, Sadhana Siddha, Kripa Siddha. These things are described in the nectar of devotion. Nitya Siddha means they are eternally associates of the Supreme Personality of God. They are called Nitya Siddha. And Sadhana Siddha means one is fallen in this material world, but by practice of devotional service, according to the rules and regulations, injunction of the Shastra, direction of Guru, in this way one can reach also the same position as Nitya Siddha. This is Sadhana Siddha. And there is another, that is Kripa Siddha. Kripa Siddha means, just like Nityananda Prabhu, he wanted that this Davai Mala must be delivered. There was no sadhana. They never followed any rules and regulations. They thieves and rogues, very fallen condition. But Nityananda Prabhu wanted to show an example that I shall deliver these two brothers. Never mind, they are so fallen. That is called Kripa Siddha. So we should always remember there are three categories: Nitya Siddha, Sadhana Siddha, and Kripa Siddha. But when they become Siddha, perfect, by any process, they are on the same level. There is no distinction. So Prahlad Maharaj's position is Nitya Siddha. Gaurangera Sangi Gane Nitya Siddha Boli Mane. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he came, not only he, but others also, just like with Krishna, so many devotees, they descended. That's why Arjuna. Arjuna is Nitya Siddha. Nitya Siddha
for India.
So those are the three types of devotees. Of course, most of us in this room come under sadhana bhakti. We were fallen souls, and by the process of devotional service, we became purified. And we're gradually getting more of a taste of Hare Krishna. And the more taste we get, the more we advance in Krishna consciousness. Then there are, of course, the Jagai and Madhais, who didn't perform any sadhanas, but simply by the causeless mercy of the Lord, they became purified by His blessings without doing any rules and regulations. That's Kripana Siddhi. So those are the three different kinds. Ultimately, on the absolute platform, they're all the same. They're all Nitya Siddhas on the absolute plane. But here in this world, we make distinction. So, the question of the day, I have one question. See if you can answer. How does one talk with Krishna directly? eye to eye. What do you think? Don't be afraid to answer. Ishtagoshi means discussion. So we're like in a classroom. So Ishtagoshi means everybody should use their brain and think, how do we talk to Krishna directly, eye to eye? By changing? Chanting, that's talking to Krishna. He appears to you eye to eye. Wow, you're advanced. I mean eye to eye. As if we're sitting here eye to eye. How do we talk to Krishna eye to eye? Huh? Yes, very good. This is what Prabhupada says. So if you can be in touch with the disciplic succession, then Krishna's representative is there. If you talk with Krishna's representative, then you are talking with Krishna. Just like in office, there are different departments. There is man department in charge. So if you talk with that department in charge, if you can please him, that means you are pleasing the proprietor or director. There is no doubt, because he is representative. So physically, you may not meet Krishna, but in higher stage, you can meet. But accepting that you cannot, but you have to be in contact with his representative. That is coming in disciplic succession. Then you talk with Krishna. It is not difficult. The acharyas are there. Acharyam mam vijnaniyan. Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna says, all the acharyas, mam vijnaniyan, they are myself. Never disregard acharya. Do not be envious. How he can be? He's ordinary man, how he can be representative? No. Anyone who is talking of Krishna, as Krishna's talked, he's Krishna's representative. Krishna says, I am the Supreme. So if anyone says Krishna is Supreme, then he's Krishna's representative. It is not very difficult, because the same talking, Krishna says, Sarva Dharmam Pradityaja Mamikam Saranam Braja. If somebody says that you surrender to Krishna, then he's Krishna's representative. But if someone says Krishna is not God, I am God, then he's not Krishna's representative. To talk with Krishna is not difficult. You find out the representative, you talk with him, and you are talking with Krishna. That's all. That's a room conversation in London. So it's not difficult. Later on, as we advance in Krishna consciousness, when our heart becomes purified, our spiritual body slowly develops, even in this world. And we can meet Krishna face to face, even in this life. And Prabhupada says he will give us his phone number. And you can use your mobile to call him. And you can talk with him. But that comes in a higher stage. You have to become an Uttama Adhikari, Mahabhagavata, completely purified of all material diseases of the heart. Not just of the body, but of the heart. And that's very difficult. So we also talked a little bit about last week about Siddha Pranali in Radhakund. They teach what gopi you are. I know some people go there and listen to the Babajis because they want to know which gopi they are. When I asked the question last week who are the names of the 14 main gopis? And nobody could answer. So you're asking what gopi you are, but you don't even know the names of the gopis. So this Siddha Pranali, Prabhupada said, was invented by men, not by Krishna, not by the acharyas. Men invented it. You see, as a cheap way to advance into Krishna consciousness without undergoing the austerities and tapasyas that is required according to Rupa and Sanatana Goswami in their books. But we do have a similar philosophy of Siddha Pranali called Swarup Siddhi, which is based on scripture from the 6 Goswamis. And it's very similar, but it's coming by disciplic succession, not by men. And these are some of the quotes that Prabhupada gives about this Swarup Siddhi. Everybody in this room has a relationship with Krishna. So in this way, if we actually establish means re-establish. It is already established. We already have a relationship with Krishna, but we have forgotten it. So we're re-establishing. We have got different types of relationship. That is called Swarup Siddhi. Swarup Siddhi. When you are perfect in spiritual life, you will understand what is your relationship with Krishna automatically. It's nothing that someone tells you. Like these Babajis say, oh, you're Lalita Gopi, or you're this Gopi, Vishaka Gopi. No, nobody tells you. In our philosophy, we say Krishna tells you automatically as you purify your heart. They don't teach that, the Babajis, because they're too busy making children, unwanted children. See, I always tell the story when Sanjay Gandhi started the population control movement back in the 70s. He placed the first tent for sterilization in Radhakund, near Radhakund, just outside, because he knew that this is where all the unwanted population is coming. Because the general philosophy of the Babajis, who told the villagers, who are not very advanced in philosophy, before you marry your daughter, you bring her to me, and I will purify her so that she will get a good offspring. So this is how they had sex, unlimited sex with the villagers, 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, 12-year-olds. There's one man in jail now. He had 25 million followers. And his philosophy, he used to dance on the stage, very old man, 75 years old. And he would dance like the gopis, and people loved it. He had 25 million followers. But his victims were 12 to 15-year-old girls. He would look in the audience, and he would tell the parents, he have his aides, tell them, you bring her to my room. I will bless her. So the parents, they're simple people. They see this sadhu. He has 25 million followers. So they used to bring their daughter to the room, and the way he blessed them is by taking off his clothes, taking her clothes off, and saying, I am Krishna, you are my Radha. And he raped them, you see. He's now in jail. I don't think he's going to get out. Maybe if he pays money. But he's in jail. When he was taken into jail, there was an all India protest. They stopped trains all over India. His 25 million followers stopped the trains. They wanted him to be released. But this is going on, the cheaters, the Babajis. You see, their intention is to have free sex without paying money. You see, because generally in the material world, if you want sex, you got to pay some paisa, some money, huh? Yeah, I know. So you have to pay some money, but this way they get it for free. Oh, that's a good life. I get free food, free shelter, and free sex. What better life? Just like the monkeys. They get everything free. They steal the fruit off the tables. They get their food free. They have sex all day long, and they don't discriminate who they have sex with, either with their sister or brother or whatever. So this is the life, and this is what they'll become. They'll become monkeys. So the sahajas, the word sahaja means take things very cheaply. But here we have what you want. You want to know your eternal relationship with Krishna. Everybody wants to know that. But there's a process that comes through the disciplic succession from the 6 Goswamis. So everybody you have got original relationship with Krishna. Nitya Siddha Krishna Bhakti in Chaitanya Chaitamrita. Just like you are the son of some gentleman, that is a fact. It is not that the son becomes father or the father becomes son. No, the son is son, the father is father. Similarly, we have got eternal relationship with Krishna, either as father or as lover or as servant, like that. So that is self-realization. See, Prabhupada makes it very simple, you see, and it's authorized. When you will be perfect in love, in loving Krishna, then in what status of life you will love? That will be revealed by Krishna. You don't try to know that on your own. It's revealed from within your heart as you advance in devotional service and in the processes of devotional service, of pure devotional service and surrender with love. That is called Sarup Siddhi. So Sarup Siddhi is not something artificial. When one becomes perfectly spiritual realized, then he understands what is his relationship with Krishna, and he begins his service in that relationship as father, as friend, as guru, or as servant, like that. And that comes from Srimad Bhagavatam lecture in Bombay in 1974. Then there's another quote. Every living being out of many, many billions and trillions of living beings has a particular relationship with the Lord eternally. That is called Sarupa. By the process of devotional service, one can revive that Sarupa, and that stage is called Sarupa Siddhi. Perfection of one's constitutional position. We have a constitutional position with Krishna, but it's not artificial. You don't get it cheaply by going to the Babajis. It's revealed to you which type of siddhi you belong to. We're all individuals, so we have different attractions for Krishna, either as mother, friend, father, servant. You see? This is from the Bhagavad-Gita introduction. Then there's another quote. All these rasas, or mellows, are situated on the transcendental platform. Pure devotees take shelter of one of them and thus progress in spiritual life. Actually, one can take shelter of such spiritual mellows only when one is completely uncontaminated by material attachment. When one is completely free from material attachment, the feelings of the transcendental mellows are awakened in the heart of the devotees. So those mellows are already there in our heart, but they're sleeping. They have to be reawakened. And that comes through devotional service as expounded by the six Goswamis, not the Babajis, who take everything cheaply. So don't be misled. By going to Radhakund and hearing the Babajis, you're actually committing spiritual suicide. Because once you get onto that road leading to hell, you don't get off it, because it's very easy. It's more difficult to become purified, to purify the heart. That could take a lifetime, maybe 2 lifetimes or 3. Their process is you can do it in 10 minutes, you see. It's like taking LSD, you see. In LSD, you have all these phantasmagoria dreams. I'm floating in the air. I see colors, you see. So devotional service by the Goswamis is not like LSD. There's a process, and you have to purify the heart first. Then you get to know your relationship with Krishna. It says it right here. So, Swarupa Siddhi, the eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord, may be situated in any one of the transcendental mellows. Each and every one of them is as perfect as the others. None of them are better than the others. To be a servant of Krishna or the father of Krishna on the absolute level is all the same, you see. You can't make a distinction. But by comparative study, an unbiased person can realize that the mellow of servitorship is better than the mellow of neutrality, that the mellow of fraternity is better than the mellow of servitor. You see, there are transcendental distinctions. That the parental mellow is better than that of fraternity, and that above all other mellows is the mellow of conjugal love, you see. But they're all equal on the absolute, but by comparative study, there may be some difference, or higher. However, these are all spiritually situated on the same platform, because all these relationships of perfection in love are based on the central point, Krishna. That's from Madhya Lila, you see. So everything is in Prabhupada books, everything. Why you have to go read other books about how to become a gopi whenever I just read to you how you can attain Siddha Pranali? But the real Siddha Pranali is Siddha Swarup, is Swarup Siddhi, you see, to know your eternal relationship with Krishna. And this comes from scripture, from the disciplic succession. It's not invented by men who simply invent it so they can have sex, you see. The whole promise there is they want to have sex with you. So they promise you, you'll be this gopi, that gopi, now come with me. You see, just like this one guy, he said, I'm Krishna, you're Radha, and he rapes 12-year-old girls, you see. And this is going on. In fact, there are 6 big gurus with followers of over 100 million, and they're all in jail for rape, murder, so many things. And these are self-made God-men. Do you know what a self-made God-man is? There's no disciplic succession. They simply say they have some charisma to cheat you, you see? Just like a stockbroker. He has charisma to sell you a stock that he knows that's going to fail. And he takes your money, he makes money, you make nothing. You see? Just like a stockbroker. They know how to cheat so good that you believe them. And you're willing to give up your life savings. Just like this one stockbroker, he got people to give $60 billion. And he used it for himself and his family, and they got nothing. He's in jail now for life. He's going to die in jail because he's an old man. They even made a Hollywood movie about called The Lone Wolf. And he's in jail, you see, because he's a wolf. He took all their money. People lost $60 billion. You see? That's like more than the budget of some countries. 60 billion. But he was smart. So don't become like these, don't go to these Babajis. They're just they know how to hypnotize you, to take everything from you, including they'll rape you. You see? Ultimately, their idea is to have sex with you because they think they're Krishna and you're Radha or you're a Gopi. So don't go to these people. Everything you want is in Prabhupada's books. It's all there. Very easy. But we have to study. We have to read. You see? We have to understand these things in the proper way through disciplic succession, through Prabhupada. He teaches us everything. So that should end any discussion on Siddha Pranali. We have our own Sarupa Siddhi. The next point I wanted to talk about is about, because we have many senior citizens, including myself, how do we feel when we hit old age? What is the prayer that we should give when we hit old age, when we hit death? And this is called Kaya Kanya, old age. What is the definition of Kaliya Kanya in Prabhupada's books? It's called the daughter of time, Kala Kanya, the invalidity of old age. You see, we're all going to grow old. How do you prepare for that time? This is an important point because it's in Prabhupada's books, in Sanskrit, you see. And there's actually a very nice prayer that Prabhupada quotes about old age, which I want to read. It's from the prayers of King Kulashekar, called the Stotra. He wrote a stotra, like some verses. Yes. So one of those, Prabhupada says, is a very nice prayer that one can think about as they're aging. And therefore, Prabhupada says, therefore, Kulashekar, Maharaj Kulashekar, he has written this stotra mala. Very important, he says. In the first stotra, he said, he's thinking, quote, "My Lord Krishna, now I am strong. Kindly give me the chance to die immediately. Give me the chance, because now I can remember. But if I die in the natural way, when I am too old, it may be that Kalpa Pitta, because this body is of Tri Daduka Kalpa Pitta Vayu. So my throat will be choked up by mucus, and I may be unconscious. I may not be able to chant at the time of death your name. So now I am strong. Please immediately give me death." This is a very nice prayer. because we don't want to reach the stage of being an invalid with disease, because then we may not remember Krishna, you see. We should leave in the proper way. What is the proper way? The proper way is like this. What's Prabhupada doing here? Can you see? What's he doing? No, he's translating. See, Pradyumna is reading the Sanskrit, the dictaphone is here, and Prabhupada is translating. Prabhupada weighed 30 kilos. Only. What happens when you weigh 30 kilos? In a general term, you're in a coma. You're in a coma. Your eyes are closed. Who knows if you can remember Krishna? Who knows if you can even say the name of Krishna? But this is a pure devotee. He's not senile. He's not in a coma. He's fully conscious, as if he is separate from his body. You see? The body is broken, but he's not broken. And therefore, Prabhupada was able to translate as he's leaving his body. This is a miracle. Have you seen this in anybody? No. You see? This is the power of an acharya. And you're seeing it with your own eyes. The dictaphone is there. Pradyumna is reading the Sanskrit, and Prabhupada, if you listen to the sound, he's giving the purports and the translation into the dictaphone. This is an acharya. This is a pure. He doesn't die in a car accident. He doesn't die of cancer. You see, which is karma. You see, Prabhupada says the inauspicious death is to die from disease, because that's karma, and to also die more early than you're destined. One who dies from a car accident, he says it means you have many material desires. And therefore you're thinking of those, and there's accident. That's inauspicious, to die from car accident. He calls it untimely death. Accident is untimely. Everybody's destined to live, but there's also untimely. One should die naturally and at a certain destined. So here we see Prabhupada, he weighs 30 kilos. He was practically bone. There was no skin. The skin was stretched. But he's completely conscious of Krishna. Even as he left his body, he was preaching. Now, none of us get that situation unless we become a pure devotee. That's how serious it is. If we come to this stage at the end of our lives, then we have perfected our life, and we'll go back home, back to Godhead. So while we're young, we should utilize our senses in the service of Krishna and not our own senses, you see. So I always like to see this picture. I meditate on it because I'm 70. There's other people here who are older than me. Death can come, and I always look at that prayer of King Kula Shekar. My brother was lucky. He left very peacefully. He didn't have to suffer so much. He was sitting up, actually, when he left his body. So in this way, this is the proper way of leaving one's body. So this is a very nice prayer. So this Kalya Kanya is important. Apparently a devotee may grow old, but he is not subjected to the symptoms of defeat experienced by a common man in old age. You see? Consequently, old age does not make a devotee fearful of death, as a common man is fearful of death. Why? Because a common man is what? Why is a common man fearful of death and we're not? Yeah, he's attached to the family, to the property. That's why Prabhupada told me personally, never own any property. Because it is automatic at the time of death, you're not going to think of Krishna, you're going to think of the property. And you'll probably take your birth as a cockroach on the property. So I never bought any property. Never. In my whole life. I lived in many houses and places, but I never bought property because I thought if I die, I'm going to think of the property and not Krishna. Because Prabhupada says it's automatic. Because property is the most thing you're attached to. More than wife, more than family, you're attached to property. In fact, 95% of the murders are in India are over property. Amongst family members, they kill each other for the property. You see? They kill each other. The sons, if there's 10 sons, they'll kill each other so they get control of the property. You see? In fact, it's only recently that women could not even get the property. Now the law has changed. If the father dies, she gets a cut of the property. Before, a woman couldn't get any property, only the man. You see? Because the family gives the dowry for the woman. So that's her, that's what she gets. But she gets no property, but now it's changed, you see. So that's, it's up to you, but you can own property, but you may not think of Krishna at the time of death if you own it. So, fearful of death, as a common man is fearful. When jara, or old age, takes shelter of a devotee, Kalya Kanya diminishes the devotee's fear. See? She's the daughter of time. And she helps us. She diminishes devotee's fear. A devotee knows that after death, he's going back to home, back to Godhead. See, we know. You see. In my case, Prabhupada told me 3 times I got my ticket on the Vaikuntha Express. He told me 3 times. Therefore, he has no fear of death. Actually, there is no death. There's no such thing as death. You're sleeping for 7 or 8 months, and then you wake up again in another womb. That's why Prabhupada, by his calculation, whatever age you are, you have to add on 10 months of conception and making of your new body. So you're actually 1 year older than when you come out of birth. So Prabhupada would say that. I am living for 70 years, but my age is 69. You see. Prabhupada passed when he was 82. He had on 10 months. You see. Thus, instead of depressing a devotee, advanced age means helps him to become fearless and thus happy. So becoming old is an impetus to become Krishna conscious, to be more serious. I remember when I was young and Krishna conscious, I didn't care if I died or not died, because Prabhupada gave me so many assignments to do that were dangerous, I didn't even care about dying. Because the spiritual master engages us in service in such a way that we don't care about dying. Because we know that the spiritual master will protect us, just as the father always protects the children. He will give his life to protect the children. Similarly, Prabhupada always protected us from danger. And going to Pakistan during the war, I was in danger. Another quote, "Nonetheless, foolish scientists are thinking that they have advanced materially. When Kaliyakanya, the invalidity of old age, attacks them, they become fearful of death if they are sane. Those who are insane simply do not care for death, nor do they know what is going to happen after death. There are many people who say, so what if I die? I don't care. Well, Prabhupada says you should treat them as pagla. They're insane. You see? Everybody cares. There's the fear of death is not death. What is the fear of death? Who can answer that question? Yes.
Fear of the unknown.
Yeah, because you don't know where you're going. Who knows where you will go, what birth you will take. Maybe you'll become a Chinaman and eat fried cockroaches. Oh, they love fried cockroach. They eat the fried grasshoppers too, I saw in Thailand. They take these grasshoppers, these big ones, and they make them red by frying them in oil, and then they eat them. Yeah. They're experimenting now in Africa of eating insects because people don't get enough protein. And insects have a lot of protein. So they're experimenting in the laboratories with different insects that you can eat to get the most protein. So look at it, human existence. They're coming down to eating insects because the world is not producing enough food, not because of Krishna, because we're destroying the earth. So Krishna, he pulls the plug on production of food. And because they're taking the oil out, what makes the earth float? The oil. Oil is gravitational. When you're flying in the sky, what if you take all the oil out? The plane falls down. So the plane flies because of gravitation of the presence of oil. Similarly, the earth is floating in the atmosphere because of oil. And if we keep taking the oil out, the planet rotates. That's climate change. Because the earth is changing. You see, it's moving because too much oil is being taken out. So we have places where there should not be rain and there's rain, and places where there's rain has become desert. Just like Saudi Arabia, they have never gotten a cyclone. And last year or 2 years ago, they got 2 cyclones in the desert. It's unheard of because the earth is changing. The weather is changing. And India is becoming a desert. Even Prabhupada said this on a morning walk on the Chakara Road. He looked at a plant with his stick. He said, oh, this plant means desert is coming. And it's a fact. This area has become very dry. We get very little rain here. In fact, the World Bank predicted by 2025, human life will not be able to live from Delhi to Agra. Because no matter how much you dig for water, there won't be any water. the water table is dropping every 5 years by 60 feet. It happened at NVT. I lived there once. 3 months we had no water. They had to dig they had water at 80 feet. They had to dig to 800 feet in order to get water. And 3 months we had no water because the well wasn't deep. The water table's dropping. You see? The rivers are dropping. And when the rivers drop, the water table drops. You see? This Jamuna is not the Jamuna. If you look on Google, there's, from here to Delhi, there's 5 canals that siphon off all the water. The water you see here is the runoff garbage water from all the cities from Delhi. You see? 150 kilometers of garbage water goes into the Jamuna. But the real Jamuna has already been siphoned off by the farmers into canals to be used for growing. So what we get is the leftover waters, the garbage drainage waters from all the cities from Delhi down to Vrindavan. That's what we're getting. This is going on. You see? This is Kali Yuga. Thus the king So we have to remember, for us, for an intelligent person, the appearance of old age is an impetus to spiritual life. So we're actually lucky, us old people, than you young people. You young people, you got really good senses for enjoying. I can't do it anymore. My senses are finished. I can't walk, so good. I have arthritis. I can't see so good. You see? So many things are going down. My skin is getting old and wrinkly. And you have nice young skin. You have good senses, so you can enjoy. But we can't, so spiritually, I think I'm a little better off. I have more impetus to be Krishna conscious because I'm going to be finished at any time, you see. But soon you will grow old. So before that happens, you're in a fortunate position. When I joined Prabhupada, I was 18. So I was trained. I gave up the best years for sex life to follow Prabhupada's movement. The best years for sex is between 16 to 26. That's when you're most potent to enjoy. And then it's downhill after 30. You go downhill, you see. So our life of enjoyment is very, very, very short, you see. Because we're not living, we're dying very slowly. This is not life, this is death. But we're going very slowly dying. And soon the senses will not work properly, you see. So thus the king of the Yavanas tried to utilize her for some purpose. The purpose has already been explained. That is, Kalyakanya's jara. The invalidity of old age can be used to arouse a sense of fear in people so that they will prepare for the next life by engaging in Krishna consciousness. You see, people can fear old age, and that's an impetus. That's from Srimad Bhagavatam. In this connection, In this connection is significant that Narada was immune to the attack of jara, or invalidity. And similarly, Jara, or the destructive force, cannot attack any follower of Narada Muni or a pure Vaishnava. So how do you explain Prabhupada's condition? Is that Jara? What do you say? Prabhupada is lying on the bed. He's like an invalid. He weighs 30 kilos. Is that Jara? Is that an ordinary person? No. His disappearance is an opportunity for us to serve the pure devotee by touching his body. It's mentioned in the Shastra, one should get the chance of touching the body of a pure Vaishnava. We used to massage him 24 hours. Prabhupada actually gave us service. And that was his way of leaving the body, because he fulfilled his mission. Just like Krishna, he disappeared from an arrow in his foot. Is that the way the Supreme Lord dies from an arrow in his foot? No. That was to delude the atheists into thinking Krishna is an ordinary person. Similarly, the way Prabhupada left his body, the materialists or those who are envious of the Charya will think, oh, he's an ordinary person. Now I can become number 33. You see? They're jealous. You see? They're jealous. You see? At the time of Prabhupada's disappearance, there are many meetings going on with the GBC. And most of the meetings were discussing about Prabhupada leaving the planet. And as a GBC, me and my brother were against those discussions, because Prabhupada said he has the power of life and death in his hand. That means he had control whether to stay or go. So if we keep talking about him going, then he'll go. Because the basis of the relationship between the spiritual master and the disciple is only one thing: love. The spiritual master resides with us out of love. But the spiritual master is also unattached. He can leave at any moment if that bond of love is broken. So by the GBC always talking about Prabhupada leaving, me and Brahmananda asked, why are we talking about Prabhupada leaving? Let us all talk about Prabhupada staying. Because he promised to stay to finish the 10th canto. He promised us. But the GBC was more concerned with the death than with the life. So we left those meetings. I never attended them again. You see, because I did not like those meetings. They were encouraging Prabhupada to leave. We wanted to encourage everyone to love Prabhupada, to make him stay, because that's the basis of love. That's why the Acharya stays with us, because of the bond of love. But if you break that bond and want your lover to go, well, then why should he stay if he's unwanted? So Prabhupada left. And it's our fault, because that's what we thought about. We were only thinking, who's going to be in charge of this property? Who's going to be in charge of that property? Is that why we came to Krishna conscious? To divide the assets of the Guru? That's why we came? You see? My godbrother, he has all the minutes from the GBCs, and he said only you two guys were against talking about these meetings. Even Prabhupada brought up when some of the GBC men came to see Prabhupada, they said, "Where were you?" "We were having meetings." "What is this meeting?" But they wouldn't tell Prabhupada. They were discussing his death. You see, they couldn't even tell Prabhupada that. So that's why he left. He would have stayed. You see, if we discussed life instead of death. But we were thinking Prabhupada is an ordinary person, that he's suffering. Prabhupada wasn't suffering. You see, there's a procedure Prabhupada did. Just before he left, he went to London. His urine stopped coming. So they had to do a procedure, which I had to do because I had some surgery on my gallbladder. And the procedure is they stick a tube in your genital. It's the most painful thing you've ever experienced. And Prabhupada did this procedure in London, and he didn't flinch once, as if he was separate from his body. I had it done, and it was the most painful thing I ever experienced. Because after the operation, from the anesthesia, your body shuts down. You have to get the body working. And your body's full of fluid because your body shuts down during the surgery. So they had to stick a tube up my genital, and boy, I screamed like anything. And Tamal Krishna says he had the same procedure when he had surgery. The most painful thing you can experience, you see. But Prabhupada was unaffected because he was separate from his body. So we were thinking he's a material person. Therefore, we wanted to discuss about the properties. Just like the sons do when the father is dying. What do they talk about? Not about the father staying. They want the father to go so they can get control of the properties. And this is what happened. I can tell you a fact, because we were there. You see. We were discussing more about Prabhupada leaving than staying, because we thought he was an ordinary man. We didn't know that life and death was in his hand. And he says it, I have the quote. Even one who is a pure devotee, he can prolong his duration of life more than what is destined for him. Everyone has got a destination, a destiny, that this person will live for so many years. This person will live for so many years. But a pure devotee, as a yogi, can increase the duration of his life. Similarly, a pure devotee, although he does not artificially try to increase the duration of life, by God's grace, his duration of life is increased. A pure devotee is no longer within the rules and regulations of material nature. That means him laying on the bed is not material. That was his way of leaving his body, because he felt his mission was complete, and because devotees were talking about him leaving instead of talking about him living. In fact, Prabhupada gave a request to the GBC, let all the devotees come to Vrindavan and be with me. And what did they say? Oh, Prabhupada, if we do that, then there'll be no book distribution. What an insult. All the devotees had the chance to be with Prabhupada, the association. And they're saying, oh, no, Prabhupada, then who will distribute your books? What a thing to say. Prabhupada wanted all the devotees to be with him out of love. The bond of love is more important than selling books. You see, this went on. This is the truth. I'm telling you the truth. I was present. My brother was present more than me. Because I had malaria, I had to go to the hospital because I had the death fever 107. When you get 107 fever, you die. And I achieved that. Lucky I didn't die. I had to go. I even had it on the airplane. The stewardess had to give me 6 blankets because I was shaken I was so cold from the fever of malaria. Anyway. So anyway, a pure devotee can increase his life. A pure devotee is no longer within the regulations of material nature. Krishna says in the Bhagavad-Gita, anyone who engages himself in pure devotional service, he is no longer under the rules and regulations of material nature. This is a lecture in 1971 on Srimad Bhagavatam. See, I'm not making these up. These come from Shastra. So Narada Muni, Prabhupada's in expansion. He's also a Nityasiddha, a Shaktava's avatar, pure Vaishnava. So Prabhupada was not attacked with Jara. This is just an illusion. It was his way of leaving because he completed his mission, actually. He started 108 temples. That was his goal, and that was done. He mentions he wanted a belt, like you wear a belt around your waist, a belt around the Earth planet. And that belt would be the Sankirtan movement. But there was one last notch which we didn't succeed, which would make the belt connect. And what were those countries that didn't have temples, but finally at the end we opened temples? What were those countries? No. It was the Eastern European countries. Poland, Lithuania, but all of them had devotees, 1 or 2 devotees by the end of Prabhupada's life. Because they were communists, they were under the Soviet Union, so it was difficult to go to those places. But devotees did go. They risked their lives to go. And Prabhupada says those devotees who go under tribulation to preach, they get the most mercy direct from Krishna. And they did that. They went to Poland, they went to Lithuania, to Yugoslavia, which was run by a dictator, Tito. When Tito died, then the Yugoslavia broke up. There was a revolution. America went to war in Yugoslavia during President Clinton with the Serbs. It was based on religion, Christian, Muslim. There were atrocities on both sides in Yugoslavia. The Muslims killed the Christians and the Christians killed the Muslims. But each religion teaches peace. So actually there is no religion, because where's the peace when you kill each other? It's hypocrisy only. You see. Now that man who did the killing of the Muslims, he's at the World Court. He died in jail. They got another one who was the general. He's going to go to jail and die also. They all die in jail. You see. At least they pay for the karma now and not later. Another quote, thus in old age all the gates to the body are blocked by so many diseases, and one has to take help from so many medicines and surgical appliances. See, Prabhupada says that. That's a dangerous position for a devotee. I always pray, please let me die. No hospital, Prabhupada said it's the most inauspicious death is to die in a hospital. And he made his closest representative, Tamal Krishna, you can see it in the conversations, at least 10 times. He said, no hospital. Don't ever bring me to a hospital, he said. He made them promise. And Tamal had a promise, no hospital. You see. Because that's inauspicious to die in a hospital. You die in your room where you do your bhajan. That is auspicious. Then you go back to Godhead. You go to a hospital, it's impersonal, there's many people. It's a place of death. Actually, Prabhupada said you shouldn't even visit a hospital because you'll catch a disease. If you visit a hospital, you will catch it, especially in India, because the hospitals are not air conditioned. So they're full of germs. In fact, there's one germ which came from India called the superbug. It's such a potent germ, there is no cure for it, and you die within a few days if you catch it. Some people in America who did some plastic surgery on their faces, came to India because it's cheap. They caught the superbug, came back and died within a few days because there's no cure for the superbug. They call it the superbug from Delhi. So don't even visit a hospital because you'll catch something, guaranteed. You see? Because germs love humidity and heat. They can't live in cold. That's why when you go into the surgical room, it's freezing cold. You see? Because then the germs, you don't catch the germs. You see? Then there's another translation. Oops, I keep jumping up. What was described as Kalyakanya should be understood as old age. No one wants to accept old age. But Yanaveshwara or Yavana Raja, who is death, accepts Jara as his sister. You see, that's his sister. He's in charge of death. He wants you to suffer and die suffering, you see. Then there is a conversation with a guest. How I become unconscious. Now we're going to talk about the difference between conscious and unconscious. What does it mean to be unconscious? What does it mean to be conscious in Krishna consciousness? So a guest says, how I become unconscious when I die. And what does Prabhupada say? You are never unconscious. Because the mind, it works 24 hours a day. The mind is always working. Even when you're sleeping, your mind is conscious, but it becomes unconscious if you don't remember the dreams. That's unconsciousness. If you remember the dreams, then you remember you were conscious. So there's a fine line. That's why Prabhupada says a pure devotee doesn't sleep, because he's always thinking of Krishna. His mind has been so trained to think of Krishna 24 hours a day. He says that's the definition of a spiritual master. So this any spiritual master, because you have to become to be a spiritual master, you have to be an Uttama Adhikari, Mahabhagavata, you see, a pure devotee whose senses are pure. You don't sleep. You're in samadhi. What we call sleep for a pure devotee is actually samadhi, because even if he's sleeping, he's thinking of Krishna's pastimes. And we saw that with Prabhupada. I say many times, Shamsunda was the secretary. He said he never actually saw Prabhupada sleep. He may have been lying down with his eyes closed, but he was always alert. If somebody moved around, he would say, "Who's that?" Or Guru Kripa tells a story right here last year. He was in Hawaii. He was talking to Prabhupada, and he thought Prabhupada dozed off. You know, he closed his eyes. So he thought, oh, I'll go now. So he very carefully, he got up and tippy-toed out the room. He started opening the door, and Prabhupada said, "Where are you going?" So he doesn't sleep. We may think he's sleeping because we are conditioned senses, but he's not sleeping. He's in samadhi. We don't know when he goes in and out of samadhi. That's his internal business. That's not our business. That's his internal business. We don't know when he will go into samadhi. Generally, Prabhupada checks himself on experiencing ecstatic symptoms. He doesn't like to show publicly, but sometimes it becomes so increased he cannot control. And there's many times when he's talking about Krishna, he goes into samadhi and he cries. He experiences the mellows of love of God. But generally he doesn't do that publicly because people will misunderstand. You see? So Prabhupada, so the guest says, "You mean I experienced the 7 months of being in a sleeping state?" Prabhupada says, "Yes." And the guest says, "Am I aware of it?" Prabhupada says, "Yes, you were aware, but you were a little deep sleep. Just like I remember my chloroform case. So I remember very slightly, but there is remembrance. The consciousness is still there, but for some time it is curbed down. So death is curbed down consciousness. It is deep sleep, but you're not dead. You see? There's no such thing as death. It's a deep sleep until you transmigrate into another body. By your karma, it's decided where you go, and that takes 7 months. The consciousness is still there, but sometime it is curbed down. So if you become Krishna conscious once, even at the time you are so-called unconscious, still Krishna is with you. Krishna is with you. He is not forgetful. He is not forgetful. Prabhupada says it twice. Therefore, he will give you the proper result. Don't think that at the time of your death, because you were so completely out of consciousness, therefore there is frustration. No, there is no frustration. There is no frustration. 2 times. Because your activities are already recorded by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated within your heart. So therefore there is no question of frustration. You just practice. While you were in good health, while you were in good body, while you were in good consciousness, just practice Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and the result is guaranteed. Wow. If that's not encouraging. And that was in 1967 in San Francisco in a Bhagavatam lecture. Whew. See, there's a lot of things in Prabhupada's books that we don't read or don't remember. I read the prayer. Similarly, we've got three conditions. This awakened stage we are talking, but at night we dream. This is called swapna stage, dreaming stage. And there is another stage when you don't dream. You are simply unconsciousness. You see? So that happens to me. I wake up, I don't even know where I am. Sometimes I dream of Prabhupada, but that's once in a while. You know, most of the time I can't remember what I'm dreaming because I'm unconscious. But one who's a spiritual master, he never experiences that because he's always conscious of Krishna 24 hours a day. Otherwise, he's not a spiritual master, according to Prabhupada's definition of a spiritual master. If somebody has gone surgical operation, he might have the experience that completely unconscious. So then dream comes. When you come to consciousness from unconsciousness, you come to dreaming condition. From dreaming condition, you come to this awakened stage. Similarly, you go from this awakened stage to dreaming condition, and from dreaming condition to unconscious stage. It's kind of confusing, but Prabhupada's explaining the difference between consciousness, unconsciousness, and semi-unconsciousness, like death. Death is just a deep, deep sleep. And this is from a lecture on Bhagavatam in Los Angeles, 1973. Actually, we do not die. There is no question of death. It is simply a sleep or deep sleeping like that. That's from Srimad Bhagavatam lecture. So, to be a pure devotee, we got to conquer sleep, we got to conquer the tongue, we got to conquer the genitals. So many things we got to conquer to become a pure devotee. You see, it's very difficult. If you go to Radhakund, it's very easy, but it's actually very difficult. You see, you're laughing, but it's true. You know, Bhaktisiddhanta, he went to Radhakund in the 30s. And all the Babaji said, oh, Bhaktisiddhanta, the great scholar is coming. We'll come and listen to him. But what did he lecture on? On the Upanishad. Not the Gopi Leela, and everybody left. Because they think Krishna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra is different from the Krishna in Vrindavan. They think the Krishna in Dwarka is different from the Krishna in Vrindavan. They make distinction. That's material. Krishna plays different parts according to the bond of love of his devotees. He reciprocates the love in different ways. And sometimes he becomes the servant of his devotee. He became the charioteer driver of Arjuna. Arjuna said, go here, go there. He was telling God, go here, go there. He became the servant of Arjuna. Then he married 16,108 wives. And he had 1 million children. That's a lot of kids to take care of. But Krishna's taking care of the whole universe, so what's 1 million kids? It's nothing. And then in Vrindavan, he acts like a paramour. What's a paramour? Someone who goes with other people's wives, with the gopis. They were all married. So the Balabalites, they don't accept that Krishna. People who follow Balabhacharya, you know, they worship Krishna with the ladu. You've seen the deity in Loy Bazaar. He's crawling They worship that Krishna. They don't worship Krishna in Vrindavan with the gopis, because they say that's immoral. They say Krishna that's immoral. We don't accept that Krishna. But actually it's not immoral, because everyone belongs to Krishna. Every wife, every woman belongs to Krishna. But you have stolen Krishna's wife and married her. Actually, it's every woman is the wife of Krishna. It's his property. But if a woman marries another man, that man has stolen from Krishna. So actually, they don't understand the philosophy. Plus, Krishna was 8 years old. There was no sex. What kid has sex at 8 years old? There is none. And the gopis, they left in their spiritual bodies the bed of their husbands. Their material bodies were still there. They came in their spiritual bodies to dance with Krishna, kiss Krishna, embrace Krishna. Krishna stole their saris while they were bathing. You see, these are all leelas, but they're not for you and me to imitate. But like the Babajis or these gurus, they say, I'm Krishna, you're Radha. You see? Self-made godmen, they call them. See? No disciplic succession. You see? So anyway, that's the concept of old age. And now about health. Prabhupada mentions, these are just quotes from Prabhupada's lectures, from his 3,500 recordings. These are just small bits and pieces. One may take anything to save one's life. Even Prabhupada was sick. So the doctor, when he was a little boy, the doctor wanted to give him chicken soup. And his father said, no, we cannot do that. And the mother, she wanted, no, we have to do to save Abhay. He's sick. So the doctor said, I'll cook it and bring it to you. So you don't have to cook it here. So they tried to give it to Prabhupada, but Prabhupada he threw it away. He wouldn't take it, you see. Although he was also, but actually under the rules of Manu, one can take anything to save one's life. There's even Ayurvedic solutions of meat products that one could take if he has a problem, you see. Animals can be used to save one's life, because human life is more important than an animal life. So that's in general. I remember Upendra, at this time, everybody was being drafted into the army to go to Vietnam and fight. All the devotees were getting draft notices. Anyone who was not in college or did not have a job could get drafted. I got drafted. Upendra got drafted. Tamal Krishna everybody got drafted. So even though we're incorporated as a religious society, the government didn't recognize that incorporation. However, there's one paper that came later. You see, that paper was a tax exemption from the federal government. So because of that paper, devotees could avoid the draft because we are recognized as a religion from the federal government. However, you could still be drafted, but you'd be drafted as a priest, not as a fighter. But of course, the army didn't want to have a bunch of Hare Krishnas running around chanting to the Vietnamese and to the soldiers. So they said, forget it. You see? So that didn't, so anyway, Upendra was afraid, this is before, he was afraid he was going to go to jail for not attending the draft into the army. So he asked Prabhupada, he served meat there, what should I do? He said, what can you do? You eat what you have to do to survive. So that's the first day, he said. Then the second day, he said, I don't think you have to eat meat to survive. I think you can survive somehow or other. Krishna will help you. Anyway, Krishna did help because he didn't get drafted. Or he didn't have to go to jail. So, in general, specifically for Prabhupada, don't call a doctor. Die peacefully. It's better to die peacefully. Because doctors will put all kinds of drugs in your body and they don't know what the drugs will do. They just prescribe because they don't know. They take they're experimenting with your body. But they don't know what will happen. So it's better just die peacefully. If one walks early in the morning, all their disease will be cured. Prabhupada did that. When he got his stroke and he was paralyzed in the left side, blind in the left eye, we were able to get a doctor. It was a holiday, Memorial Day, May 30th. In America is a very important holiday. So everybody leaves the city, New York City. Finally, we got a doctor, and he came to see Prabhupada, and he examined him. And the first thing he said to us is, the old man prays too much. You should get out and walk. And although it sounded insulting, Prabhupada took that advice and started his morning walks. And here he says, if one walks early in the morning, all their disease will be cured. There is no healing in the material world, 100% mortality. One can't decrease suffering, for as you proportionately increase the amenities, so proportionately the distress increases. Sometimes you take a pill to cure one thing, and it causes the problem in another thing. And then you got to take another pill, which causes problem, and it causes a problem in something else. It goes on and on and on. So we have to be careful about the amenities. The amenities cause more distress than anything else. You see, we make so many plans for our increased sense gratification, and we actually make life more complicated. Just like I asked Prabhupada after my wife left, my early wife in 1967, I asked him, should I get married again? And he made such a face. I never saw that face again. He went. I mean, such a disgusting face he made. And he said, life is very complicated. It's very complicated, especially in spiritual life. And by getting married, you make life more complicated. So don't make it more complicated. Make Krishna conscious more easy. Of course, I didn't listen, like we always do. I ended up, during my lifetime, having 5 wives. So, anyway, that's another story. So, disease and unwanted guests. If you don't give them food, they will go away. That's a very nice quote. Sometimes you get a person, a bunch of people come to your house and they're waiting for the food. But if you don't feed them, then they go away. The same with disease. You don't feed the disease, it doesn't get the nourishment required to keep you sick. So better to fast. The reason why disease strikes one person and not another isn't due to karma, but it's due to infection. One who's not weak isn't infected. So that's interesting. Generally, disease is due to karma, but it's dependent on whether you're weak or strong. Some people are weaker than others and get all kinds of infections. It depends. Like my mother, she developed an allergy when she was pregnant with me. And that's how I got the allergies. She gave them to me. And my father was always a big fat man. So that's how there's a gene for fat people. My sister was fat, my brother was fat, I was fat. But you can control these. For old people, I really recommend, because I did it now for 2 months and I lost weight. My body feels better. I have less mucus. I stopped eating rice and grains. No carbs. I eat pasta once a week, that's all. Mostly I just eat vegetables and fruits. And your body changes and you produce less mucus. And producing less mucus means you get sick less. Mucus causes disease, Prabhupada said. So not for young people, this is for old people. If you don't want to get a disease, you got to reduce the mucus. And by reducing the mucus, you reduce the chances for disease. Oh, this is interesting. The disease syphilis is imported from the Western countries. Every dog has it and contaminates the woman, and that is distributed to the man. So that means women were having sex with dogs, and then they spread it. What about AIDS? Where did AIDS come from? That killed millions. Does anybody know the source of AIDS? Somebody had sex with a monkey or a gorilla, and then they had sex with a man. So AIDS is a monkey disease. You know, in Africa, they don't have these monkeys. They got ones that stand 6 feet high. So somebody had sex with him, then the man had sex with another man, a French man. I think it was a French man. They tried to find the source of the AIDS, and it was a African man with a French man, and from the French man it traveled the whole world. And that's how AIDS came into being, you know. So syphilis is from dogs, AIDS is from monkeys. The process of attempting to stop disease is punya punas, chewing the chewed, not being able to stop the problem and trying again and again, hope against hope, which doesn't work because Devi e Asa, Gunamayi. Is it possible to stop disease or prolong life? No. Why prolong life if you're suffering? Yeah, why suffer? It's better to go if you're sick. Go back to Godhead. Go to eternal life. Why suffer here? It's due to attachment. Because actually we think when we die there's no life. We think that. That's why people commit sin. Because they think, oh, I won't be punished. I live one time and then it's all finished. No. It's not true. You will suffer and you will sin and suffer for that sin in the next life. But people don't really think that. They think death is death. No. Death means you'll be born again. It's a sleeping stage. Prolonging life is prolonging suffering. Keeping patients alive on machines is a waste of money and is temporary. That's a fact. Some people are in a coma for 20 years. Who's paying for that? Millions of dollars are spent to keep someone alive in a coma. Let them pass into the next life. Ayurveda can work nowadays. Well, he was speaking back in the 70s. Now Ayurveda, there's so many cheaters in the Ayurveda. Even in America, these supplements, the biggest supplement maker, the manufacturers were thrown in jail. It was called Savon Supplements. Savon, it was the biggest one. And they were all cheating on what was in the pill and the amount of what was in the pill. All cheating. And they all had to go to jail. The FBI took them to jail, all the directors, for fraud. See, in India, you look how many Ayurveda, there's so much. And yet there's no plants. Where are they getting it from? But India doesn't have a food regulator who goes around checking. It's the NGOs that check. The non-government organizations, NGOs, they go around and check the food, just like they did 5 years ago. They had checked the water you drink at that time, had 300 times more pesticides than the standards of the EU, the European Union, 300 times. So you were drinking pesticides that cause cancer. And the government passed a law. They stopped all packaged water, and now it has to be, they have to have the machines that take out the pesticides. Before, the purifying machines didn't take out the pesticides, just the other chemicals, you see. I shouldn't ask Krishna to heal their fever, although on the impure platform one has no alternative. But one is still pious if they ask the help of Lord Vishnu or Krishna. Prabhupada in the old days, he said whenever we drink a glass of water, we should say Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu. And then if something's wrong with the water, we won't suffer the reaction because we're offering it to Vishnu and he makes it pure. I bet nobody's doing that now. I know I don't, but we used to say that because Prabhupada told us to back in the 60s. You say Sri Vishnu, we always used to say Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu. 3 times. So it's a good habit. Disease means sin brought on by ourselves. We bring the disease from our karma or by our lifestyle. If your lifestyle is not Vedic, you get disease. Disease and sickness are purification of our past sins, a neutralizing process. So if you get sick, you're suffering for your past sins, and it neutralizes the sins. You see? Sickness, suffering, and tolerance. Prabhupada talks about it. One kept alive apparently by an electric machine isn't being kept alive by electricity, as a jiva is still there. So it's not the electricity, it's the jiva that keeps one alive. We think it's the electricity. Like those machines that keep you breathing. You're on a ventilator. We think it's the machine that's keeping us alive. Actually, as long as the jiva is present, that's what's keeping you alive, not the machine. All these quotes go against modern medicine. I hope you know that. So it's whether you have faith in Prabhupada, what he says, or faith in the doctors, you have to decide. I pick Prabhupada. One kept alive apparently. Every herb is meant for some medicine. Even flesh is used for curing disease. I told you that. Even flesh is used for curing disease. I told you that, but you didn't believe me. Medicine, milk cloth, and tomatoes were rejected by the Indian Hindu culture during Prabhupada's early years. Milk cloth. Milk cloth is mixed with petrol. Do you know that? When you buy cloth saris made of artificial type of weaving, that comes from petrol. That's why when you put a match to it, it burns. There's 300 deaths a year from ladies who are cooking and their saris catch on fire, and within 3 seconds the whole sari's on fire because there's petrol in the sari. 300 die a year just from cooking because their saris catch on fire, and the saris are not pure cotton. They're made of artificial type of string. And that has petrochemicals in it. Everything has petrochemicals. Even the plastic containers we keep our food, when we eat the food, we're eating the petrol too. Everything has petrol in it. So these are all quotes from the 3,500 recordings. To keep good health in India, one should eat simple things, fruits, vegetables, but don't eat voraciously. Also, it is better and is preferred if one doesn't eat food grains, but they can have a little milk. See, I told you about food grains. You didn't believe me. Prabhupada's saying it right here. It's not. No, they create mucus. Food grains. Is that what? Yeah. Oh, rice is the worst. Rice has no vitamin level, has no vitamins. Prabhupada says it's used as a filler to fill your belly. We used to give in Bengal to the villagers huge rice. And the kids, their bellies were out like this, little 8-year-old kids. They would eat so much rice because they didn't know when they would eat again. Because we had prasad distribution. We'd feed 10,000 people a day. I built the first prasad pavilion at Mayapur, which was in the front of the land. I don't know if it's still there. But we could feed 500 people and then water it down, and the next group would come. I just saw a fantastic documentary on Tirupati. They have the biggest prasadam distribution I've ever seen anywhere. They feed 75,000 people a day on banana leaves. On banana leaves. And they have a laddu. They have a laddu that is so good and secret, it's copyrighted geographically. Nobody is allowed to copy it. Like basmati rice, you can't, if you grow it in America, you can't call it basmati. It's a geographical copyright. Their laddu is huge, and thousands of laddus are produced. They showed the kitchen. It's unbelievable. And guess what? People donate by offering to the deity outside the temple coconuts. They get 100,000 coconuts a day. And they turn it into chutney and give it as part of the prasadam with rice and 75,000 plates on banana leaves. The biggest prasad distribution in India is at the Tirupati temple. They showed the kitchen. It's unbelievable how they cook everything. You see? So, that's the richest temple in India. They have $400 million. They're the richest, and they have 1,000 acres of land where they grow the food also for the temple. But all the food that they get, like rice and dal, it's all donated. Nothing is bought. It's all donated by companies. They have such a professional system. And during festivals, they get 2,000 to 3,000 ladies wearing orange saris that help all the pilgrims where to go, where to do, and they don't get paid. 3,000 donate their time to help at the festivals. Free. They don't get paid. They get prasadam, but they don't get paid. You see? That's bhakti. Salaries is not bhakti. Salaries is karmi, Prabhupada said. There's no advancement in Krishna consciousness if you get a salary. As far as devotee maintenance, I solved that problem myself in Los Angeles. I bought all the things devotees need wholesale from the companies. I saved 50%. I didn't go to the store across the street to buy toothpaste. I went to the man who made the toothpaste. I went to the man who makes the headache pills and got it either donated or we bought it wholesale. And then we had a storeroom. When a devotee needed something, he came, he signed the book, because we wanted to see how many toothpaste they were using. There was no waste. And nobody complained, and nobody got a salary. We cooked all our food. Actually, Prabhupada said, if prasadam is cooked in ghee, you don't get sick. You get sick from the oil. And I tell you, in India, I read in the Economic Times, every single oil is contaminated, adulterated. They used to adulterate it with engine oil. back in the 70s, you read in the newspaper, 200 people died. Because they took the oil from the cars, the black oil, refine it so it looks clear, and then add it to the edible oil. And they would cook in that and die. This is not a lie. I read it in the what was called the Standard newspaper. I don't know if it's still around. The India Standard newspaper and the Amrita Bazar Patrika. You'd always read of people dying, and the chili pepper powder was made of sawdust with red dye. And when you go by the dahi in the clay pot, you would take off the top, it was a piece of newspaper, but you thought it was cream. They would cheat. So very dangerous. Now the milk, they found 10 lorries of contaminated milk made with fertilizer. Urea. Urea is white and it has the consistency of cream. So they would take those plastic packets of milk you buy here at the store, they would take one of those packets and make 10 new packets and add urea, chalk, and water.
Starch.
Yeah. No, chalk. Chalk is cheaper. Chalk you put on the blackboard in school? Starch, they use the urea because it's cheap. It's white, it's a fertilizer. And you drink that, you got to go to the hospital. That's why in Vrindavan, a little town, you got 10 hospitals and everybody's sick from the water and from the food, especially from the milk. And the police seized 10 lorryfuls of this milk. They went to Mathura and seized 5,000 liters from a milk company that was fake milk. I read it. It was in the Hindi paper. So even to drink the milk is dangerous in India. I don't drink it. But who knows what you're drinking? Even in Calcutta back in the 70s, I didn't trust anybody. I had the man bring the cows to the temple and milk them in front of me to make sure I was getting milk. But then the life member said, "Oh, you made big mistake." I go, "What?" He said, "Go 3 blocks down and see what he does. 3 blocks away from your temple." So I sent a spy. And sure enough, the man, before he came to the temple, he was injecting steroid into the cow to make more water in the milk. And that steroid causes cancer in humans. So that was the end of that. No more cow milk coming to the temple because they cheat. Prabhupada said, he got the quote, Indians have to cheat. It's in their DNA, it's in their blood. And they know they will suffer, but they don't care. They cheat their own family members, let alone cheat others. He said that. They have to. Even when we go to the market, they'll charge us 10 or 5 rupees extra than if an Indian went. Because they got to cheat us. They can't help it. This is Kali Yuga. You see? They say fixed price. Yeah, the fixed price is 10 times what it's worth. That's their favorite line. Fixed price, fixed price. But then you walk away, they say, okay. That's proof they're cheating you. So, It's tough to drink milk here. The billions of dollars used for cancer research, if one sits for some time in the winter sun, he'll never get sick. Yes. I was doing that this winter. We had a good winter. There wasn't too much fog. And every day I sat in the sun. And the sun, you get vitamin D. If you don't sit in the sun, you'll get rashes and sores on your body in the winter because you don't go out so much. So here Prabhupada, he says that if you sit in the sun in the winter, you'll never get sick. So anyway, we'll stop on that health. There's more things to talk about. I'll just show you one more for heat stroke. Now the heat is coming. What medicine does Prabhupada recommend? In the hot climates, hold programs at nighttime, and the daytime can be used for resting. Also, green mango sherbet can be prepared. Roast the green mango and take out the pulp. Mix this pulp with a little salt, black pepper, and sugar, and make a liquid by adding some water. Then drink it. This will give you protection from stroke from the heat. See, Prabhupada is so kind. He even gives you the cure for heat stroke. And heat stroke comes within 30 minutes. You go out when it's 45 and 50 degrees, you'll get heat stroke. I remember with Brahmananda, you and me went in the e-rickshaw. It was 45 degrees, and we were drinking water. I drank like 3 bottles of water just to stay alive. When my brother disappeared in June, it was the hottest day in Vrindavan. It turned out to be 48 degrees. This year they say it's going to be hotter because it's coming early. It's 5 degrees higher than normal. So it's dangerous. It could be in the 50s. Anyway, we'll stop there now. Thank you for coming. Are there any questions you can ask? There's another mic on the floor over there. If people have questions. Oh, those are volume numbers and page numbers of the books. They publish the books of all the recordings. Well, there's the Bhagavad-Gita lectures, 8 volumes. There's the Bhagavatam lectures. I think it's 12 volumes. They were all published in book form. No, in America. No. I think they're all out of print, but they're in the database. Yeah, you get all the 3,500 recordings in the database. You see? So a friend of mine, he went through all those books and made topics. And then they're explained in the books. So he puts the volume number and the page number where you can find that. That's what those are. But he spent like a year making all topics. So one of them was health. And that's where all that information comes. Yes. Hare Krishna.
Oh, just like you were saying, when Prabhupada was dying and they were having the meetings, after this one, what we will do with this one. So Prabhupada said that you are giving me poison, so this is fact or is just...
No. No, I have a quote 5 days before where Tamal Krishna asked, Prabhupada, you were poisoned? He said, no. Sometimes Prabhupada's vocabulary was different from ours. Sometimes you take a pill and you get a reaction to that pill. So Prabhupada used the word poison. He had a poisonous reaction to a medicine that he was taking. But that doesn't mean he was poisoned. A pure devotee can't be poisoned anyway. You're minimizing a Shaktavash avatar by even thinking that. Prahlad was thrown off a cliff. He was put in hot oil. His father tried to kill him, but he was protected. So Prabhupada is also a Shaktavash avatar like Prahlad. He's also protected. Even if he's given poison, he can't die. He's beyond any material reactions. I just read the quote. Didn't you hear it? He's beyond all material reactions. But anyway, he wasn't poisoned. There was no conspiracy. The people who promote that, I asked them, did you take drugs? And they go, yes. I said, oh, that's the reason. Because people who take drugs are paranoid. They think everybody's out to get them. They think everything is a conspiracy. It's a psychological condition with people who took a lot of drugs. So they need psychological therapy to get rid of the paranoia. If Hare Krishna doesn't work, then they got to go to this hospital where Prabhupada told devotees they should go to, Bellevue Hospital. That's where we found Kirtananda. He was in Bellevue.
Prabhu, one comment can I give this?
What's that?
One comment on this Prabhupada. You said that a pure devotee doesn't affect any poison.
No.
Yeah, just like Mirabai, she was given poison and they showed Amrit. It's Amrit, it's nectar, and she drank and it was nectar. It was not the poison. So this is pure devotee doesn't get any poison effect.
Yeah, that's what I just said. Yes. The microphone. Somebody, some young person can help. He's old man. But you walk good. Good. Turn it on.
Why is the Hindu society rejecting tomatoes?
Oh, because it's red. They didn't eat anything red.
It was
It's in South India mostly. They didn't eat, and it was brought over by the British. It wasn't a natural vegetable of India. It was brought by the British.
But we know the tomatoes in Rajagun, so we should not eat.
No, it's not.
No?
No. It's not acidic either. It's actually, it has omega-3. It's actually, the more tomatoes you eat, the more your blood is cleansed. I eat at least 5 tomatoes a day. Fresh.
But Srila Prabhupada was eating tomatoes?
Yeah, because I would put it in the brinjal. Tomatoes and brinjal. Oh, Prabhupada loved it with chapati. I made a paste out of it.
So many Bengalis, they also doesn't like potatoes.
Yeah, because that was brought by that was also brought by the British.
But
It's-
Srila Prabhupada once says that potato is the king of vegetables.
Yeah, because it's cheap. It's cheaper than rice. It's like 5 rupees a kilo now. It used to be 2 rupees when I first came to India in 2000. It was 2 rupees a kilo. It's the poor man's carbohydrate. If they can't afford rice, they eat potato.
But it is not so useful, I think, potato.
No, it has more vitamins than rice. Rice has no vitamins.
The Ayurveda, I went to see the Ayurveda doctor, and she recommends eating rice because it's good for depression and it's easy to digest.
Ask her to see her certificate.
Just around the corner.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, in Vrindavan, there's only there's only 1 or 2 doctors that have real certificates in all of Vrindavan. They're all fake. They buy the certificates.
But should we eat okay, fruits okay, fresh, but what about vegetables? Should we cook them or eat anything?
Well, for health reasons, you can steam them. That's more healthy. But the spicings are also cleansing to the body. They clean the blood. Like chilies is very good. Prabhupada would eat them raw. And he never told us that we shouldn't eat them, but I did it, and I had to run to the bathroom because it was burning my mouth. So we nicknamed them sharks. Beware of the sharks in the Tao.
What about Srila Prabhupada also said flesh can be also cured?
Yeah.
It's a curing.
Yeah, I just read it.
But what kind of flesh and which state?
Whatever disease you have, the flesh can be used. It depends on the Ayurvedic doctor. What he says that you should take. Which flesh?
I know for some diseases,
It depends if he has because a human life is more valuable than animal life. So animals can be used for testing pills. I know the animal rights people are against that, but according to the Vedas, it's okay because the human life is more important than animal life.
like lower animals,
Yeah.
not cow.
No, you don't experiment on cows. You experiment on rats, monkeys. Mostly they do rats and mice.
So this prolonging life is not good. Trying to prolong life.
Why?
But if somebody
It's not a question of good and bad. It's a question of consciousness. Why do you want to be in a position when you can't chant Hare Krishna or you can't remember Krishna? If you're sick
but nobody wants
and
to
spend $100,000 on a hospital and there's no guarantee you'll survive, better to leave your body and go back home and go back to God. Why would you want to stay here anyway? This material world, Prabhupada said, is a slaughterhouse. One big slaughterhouse. Everybody's getting slaughtered. You see in Syria, 500,000 finished. In Libya, 200,000. In Iraq, 1 million finished. They're all being slaughtered.
But Srila Prabhupada himself, he just stopped to eat.
Yeah, actually, he didn't even follow the doctors. He took it for 2 days, then he stopped. He didn't take the doctors very seriously himself. So if it's time to go, it's time to go.
But some should be awakened enough to know.
But the power of life and death was in his hands. But that was based on the bond of love between us and him. And at that time, there were so many controversies which were arrows in Prabhupada's heart. There were two sannyasis trying to become guru before Prabhupada left his body. And that was like an arrow shooting into Prabhupada's heart. That really hurt Prabhupada. And sannyasis were falling like flies in those days. And that hurt Prabhupada. Prabhupada thought his mission, he did as much as he could do. He started 108 temples, he left us books. Now it's up to us to carry it on or to ruin everything.
Many old people coming to Vrindavan just to leave body. Is it,
Yeah.
Is it,
Oh, yeah.
also
Prabhupada said Vrindavan is not for living, it's for dying. You come here.
Russian, a lot of Russian.
He didn't want grihastas to stay here because he said no sex here. No sex in Vrindavan. So if you're a grihasta, why would you want to come here? You can't have sex. A lot of people think they want to conceive their child in Vrindavan. They think that's auspicious, but they're doing Dham Aparat and Guru Aparat. Because you're not supposed to have, you're supposed to live like the Goswamis. They weren't married, they didn't have children. I got dry eye. So it's better if you're a grihasta not to stay here unless you give up sex and live as vanaprastha. I'm married for 11 years, but I've never had sex with my new wife. First of all, she's a widow. She has children. So Indian women, they don't want sex after they have children, usually. You know. So we're more or less like companions in Krishna conscious. She takes care of my health, I take care of her health and whatever she needs. But I don't get involved with the family. Because in India, when you marry the family. But I told her, I'm not marrying your family. I don't want to know them, I don't want to talk to them. But I'll take care of you. Because she was our cook and she cooks very healthy. That's why I'm alive. She's a Bengali cook and they cook very healthy. They don't use the cream and the ghee and the salt. They use very little, mostly, and they make their own spices on the stone. You know, they put the fresh spices and roll it on the stone. And most of the vegetables are leafy kind of vegetables, made of leafy things. Any other questions? Yes?
What did Prabhupada say about buckwheat?
Yeah, buckwheat is a Ekadasi, I think, for Ekadasi. I don't think that's a real grain because you can eat it on Ekadasi.
This is like Russian rice, grechka.
Yeah, kasha.
It is flour. It is
Like-
not grain, it is flour.
Yeah,
And it is very easily digested.
Yeah, I know.
It is recommended by the doctors to the very ill person cannot digest.
like kasha? Kashi?
Гречневая каша.
Yeah, I used to, my mother would cook that.
Porridge.
Yeah.
Which means
No, she made it with vegetables and stuff. And butter. It was good.
So you said this
It was Russian.
ghee, too much ghee also not so good.
No.
Should be little.
No, well, we should cook with ghee, but not so so the sabjis are floating in ghee. That's not healthy. But I'm talking mostly about old people now. Younger people, they can take things a little bit different from older people. You have to change your diet as your body ages. You have to be in tune with your body because it's not how long you live, it's the quality of life you live.
So mostly cook on steamed food.
That's healthy for older people.
Adding little ghee on it.
Yeah, and what you can do is saute with a little butter or ghee for 5 minutes. You just saute for taste. And don't use too much salt. Salt kills. Salt causes heart disease.
Black salt or white?
The white salt. Black salt is okay. Sugar kills and salt kills.
I'm using
Do you ever see ants eat sugar? They run around in circles. It's intoxicating. But for humans, it kills you by diabetes.
Honey,
Honey is not good.
not good.
No.
All kinds of.
Yeah, well, I have the diabetic diet book, and they say honey is, you got to stay away from honey. No bananas.
No bananas.
No. You can eat papaya or apples. That's about the only fruits that are good for diabetes. They have less sugar content. See, carbohydrate doesn't leave your body. It stays in the body and becomes fat. It's better to eat fattening things like cheese. That burns very fast. So you can eat lots of cheese.
What kind of cheese?
The cheese they serve here.
But
Not the processed cheese, the fresh cheese. They sell fresh cheese. Cheddar cheese, I saw.
cheddar.
Yeah, I saw this Go Milk company. They make fresh cheese, but don't eat the processed cheese because that's all chemicals.
Okay, cheddar is a vegetarian.
Yeah. Oh, it's made in India. Of course it's vegetarian. They would burn it down if it wasn't. Like they did McDonald's. They found out, this is years ago, that the French fries were cooked in beef oil. But only in America, not in India. But people thought they were doing it in India, so they burned down 2 McDonald's. And one man in America, an Indian man, sued McDonald's and got $10 million for fraud. And he donated the money to promote vegetarianism to different organizations. He didn't keep the money.
You already said we should not be sure in India. So you know this affair about ghee. Even almost all ghee on the market is with animal fat, which we for years used.
Yeah, you get organic. You pay a lot of money though, 600-700 rupees. You can get some bona fide organic ghee. But you're right, ghee, they said the ghee, most of the ghee was like 3% contaminated. Most of the oils are between 2 and 10% contaminated, the vegetable oils.
What about olive oil?
Olive oil comes from Italy, it's good.
Italy.
Yeah,
It's good.
yeah. But don't use the virgin oil for cooking. That's bad for you. You use that for bread or salad. But for cooking, you use pumice olive oil. It's pumice. It's made from the pit of the olive. And it's used for frying and cooking. And it's also 1/3 of the price of olive oil. You can buy it for 300 rupees a liter only. Or canola oil is very good for the heart. It cleans the arteries.
What's the name? What's it?
Canola. Canoila, I think. They have it here in India. It's about 300 rupees a liter. It comes from Canada.
Made of
Some kind of seed, which is very healthy. It's in my Ayurveda diet book also. Olive oil, canola oil is good. But all other oils block your arteries. And as you grow older, your arteries get thinner and thinner. And that's when you get stroke. When the blockage stops.
maybe it's like
So you have to be very careful to take foods that clean the arteries, not pollute them as you grow older. So don't eat fried foods. Don't eat, except hers, because they taste like Prabhupada's. And whatever she cooks, you go to Vaikuntha, because she cooked for Prabhupada. So,
What about the watermelon?
yeah, watermelons.
There's no season of watermelon.
Well, you have to be careful because they use that calcium carbonate to make the fruits ripe. And that's also causes cancer.
Papaya was scary.
Yeah, if there's green on the papaya, then you know it's bona fide. If the papaya is all yellow but hard, then you know it's calcium carbonate. Because no papaya is fully orange. But if there's green on it, then you know they didn't use the chemical.
So, and no banana. Banana should
Oh,
be
it's good for potassium, but very bad for diabetes. Yeah. But it's excellent for getting potassium, which is important for the body.
What about milk? Every day they're getting milk here in the temple.
Well, who knows who puts what in it, you know. All I know is some of these guys got 20,000 rupee cell phones. Where did they get the money for that? Huh?
What's happening in the Gota?
Yeah, who knows? They all got 20,000 rupee cell phones. I don't know. Where'd they get the money for that? I got a 900 rupee cell phone. And these are brahmacharis, and they got 20,000 rupee cell phones? You have to wonder.
But Prabhupada said we should have little milk.
Well, that was back in the 70s. Things weren't as bad as they are now. You know, there's 1.5 billion people. When I was there was 350 million people. So the population has exploded. There's not enough milk for everyone. That's why they cheat. Because there's not enough production. And most cows in India, Indian cows, they don't give hardly any milk. 5 kilos, 10 kilos. The American cows give like 60 kilos. The Australians, they give 60 kilos. There's a big difference because they eat grass. In India, there is no grass. They give them the leftover rice, you know, hay, which has no vitamins in it. A cow is most happy when it eats grass, Prabhupada said. And there is no grass.
But in our Goshalas, the cows are bona fide.
I don't know. Who knows? I'm not taking the risk myself.
So never drinking milk.
No.
But drink nourishes the brain.
Yeah, well, my brain's doing pretty good, I think. By Prabhupada's grace, I think I got a pretty good brain. At 70 years.
It was a very interesting statement about that if somebody is weak, he's infected, not due to karma, but due to something.
But then you read down, he also said, disease is called by our sins. So it goes both ways. Generally, if you have a strong metabolism and a strong resistance, you don't get sick. But if you have a weak metabolism and a weak resistance, then sickness will come.
But this is also due to karma.
And it's also
Getting
due
body
to karma.
karma.
Yeah, it's also due to karma. You know, if you did a lot of painful things to animals, then you're going to get that pain back. Like a butcher, if your father was a butcher, he's going to get a lot of pain. You know, it depends. Everything's recorded, let's put it that way. Prabhupada said Yamaraj keeps an account of everybody. So everything is recorded.
But he said it is still bias if they will
Yes.
Still, these people is pious.
Yes.
They have some piety. They are calling to Krishna or Krishna at the time of pain.
Well, that was a special incident with Ajamil. He was a fallen Brahmin going with prostitutes, and he was calling for his son. He wasn't even thinking of Narayan, he was thinking of his son Narayan. So that shows the power of Krishna, that even if you call out Narayan, but you don't think about Narayan, Narayan will come by his mercy, because Ajamil did some pious activities before, in the past. So the Lord is all merciful. But that doesn't mean we should follow that and go with prostitutes and think, you know, Narayan will come and save me. Don't imitate, but learn the instruction.
And what about some, like these products, like some cake, some
No.
ice cream, sometimes, not always.
I never eat cake unless once in a while, if she makes it. She gave me cake one time.
No ice cream,
No. They put in all kinds of chemicals.
no chocolate.
No, unless Prabhupada says you can eat chocolate if there's no intoxication in the chocolate.
But sometimes back I read Srila Prabhupada said this coffee and cacao, these beans, they are actually toxins. They're
Yeah, but the black chocolate is different from the milk chocolate.
It's better,
Yeah, it has omega-3. It's good for the heart.
very bitter.
Yeah, very bitter. It's not sweet.
But it is very good also for very people who are came just after tuberculosis or something like that.
Yeah.
Disease. They are very much exhausted.
Yeah.
For them, doctor said it's.
I gave
bad.
Prabhupada chocolate sandash and he ate it. Chocolate sandash. Yeah, from Calcutta, from Gangaram's.
For Prabhupada,
Yeah.
he ate it.
Oh, yeah, he loved it. He said, oh, this is very good. Inside was chocolate. It was white with silver foil, and he ate them all. And Gangaram's is the most popular sweet shop in all of India. They've been around for 200 years.
Is it brought by British? The chocolate? No?
I don't know, I didn't ask.
They didn't know before. They didn't
Probably. They're now encouraging people to buy chocolate because there's the sweets are all contaminated. That you buy in the sweet shops, they're all fake. They use fake casein. You know, casein is the cheese. It's all fake. I've told you they found 10 lorryfuls of fake casein to be sent to the sweet shops, and it's all fake. It wasn't made from milk.
But what about the sweets made of temple? They selling just in the
Well, I hope.
nearby gate. The shop.
I don't know where it comes from. Do you know?
They bring just here next to this shop.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
But they're using those milk which we are buying every
Well,
day.
I don't know. I don't eat it, so I don't know.
So there is no alternative.
It's Kali Yuga, that's why. Soon Krishna withdraws everything. Everything, or anything pure is being withdrawn. And the demand is so high, people will do anything for a rupee. You got 1.3 billion people. We're going to have more people here by 2030 than in China.
Maybe better to go somewhere else
No,
from Vrindavan.
No, Vrindavan is the most powerful place in the world. Everybody's Krishna, everybody says Jai Radhe. What other city? You die here, then you go back to Vaikuntha. If you die in Germany, you go to hell.
But I know that in Siberia or some Altai, Russia, some places, very pure water, pure air.
Yeah, but
Altai,
when you
they-
die in Siberia, you got to take your birth in India anyway before you go to Godhead. Prabhupada said it. There's a question by Shruti Kirti. He said, yes, Prabhupada, you have to take your birth in India before you go back to Godhead. If you die outside of Vrindavan.
But if you die in Vrindavan,
You go-
directly go.
Yeah, you go,
Follow.
yes, it's the only place. So I came here to die, really. Prabhupada came to me in a dream. He said, go to Vrindavan, all that you want is here, when I was 17 years ago. Yeah, Mayapur is the same as Vrindavan. But Prabhupada came here, not Mayapur, to leave his body. So this is the place.
But also he said that before going to Galop, we should have some time in Gaura Lila, just to take some lessons, just to get some.
We have Gora Leela. Prabhupada is the incarnation of Gora. He says it.
Nityananda Shakti.
No, he's more than that. He's an incarnation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He wrote that letter to Gopal Krishna. I have the letter. I got banned for 2 weeks because of that, but I showed it to the president and he said, yeah. Prabhupada said, yes, people have said I'm the incarnation of Lord Chaitanya, and then he explains how he is the incarnation. He doesn't deny it. Prabhupada was a very, very powerful acharya. In fact, more powerful than any acharya in the whole Sampradaya.
Is Shakta Deshavatara.
He's more than that. He came to preach to the Yavanas and Malechas. Nityananda saved one Jagai and Madai. So Prabhupada is greater than Nityananda. He saved thousands of Jagai and Madais. And Jagai and Madai didn't eat the cow. We did. We're the lowest of the low. So he's more powerful than Nityananda. And it's funny how Prabhupada gave me the name Garga Muni. Now Garga Muni was the astrologer for Krishna. But Garga Muni was the one who predicted that the Lord would come in a golden complexion. And when I met Prabhupada, he had a golden complexion, and he gave me the name Garga Muni. Because that's the first thing I noticed in Prabhupada. He had a golden aura around him. That's what the first attraction. I said, I knew right away that he's not from this planet. And other devotees will tell you the same thing.
And also the history of his childhood, his birth in Calcutta.
Oh yeah,
Period of childhood.
all transcendental.
This was just Leela.
It's Leela, yeah. He was being trained to be the Acharya. He was first in his class in Sanskrit. He was first in his class in English essay writing, which shows us in his books how he translated and how he presented his books. So he was being trained up from the very beginning. He said, I'm doing the same thing as a little boy. I did Radha Govinda worship, I did Rath Yatra, and I danced and chanted Sankirtan by hiring the Sankirtan party for 20 minutes, for 20 rupees. And I'm doing the same thing as an old man on a larger scale. He's dancing all over the world. He introduced Rath Yatra all over the world, and he introduced Radha Govinda worship all over the world. So what difference is he doing than when he was a little boy? There's no difference.
But he was doing it himself. You told he was trained. By whom?
His father, a pure devotee. And then when he met his Guru Maharaj, all that he learned from his father, he uses the word solidified. In other words, he didn't follow a regulative principle. That was done through